things you may not know about the Indian Act. And also there's a really great book on this if you want to pick it up, but we want to share it with you in bite-sized little pieces and little chunks so you can kind of get the knowledge of it. And so this is part 3. If you missed out on the other parts, we did part 1 and part 2. And today we're talking about, see if I could actually get this to the next stage. There we go. You know, the creation of reservations and from 1806 to present day. So that's 1876. They signed the Indian Act. They created the Indian Act when they were wanting to make some room for kind of settlement in all that. So, you know, right now approximately there's 3,100 reservations in Canada. There's many more in United States of America as well. And, you know, reservations were originally created for Indian people to be confined until they became civilized people. And this is what it says on paper, right? And once they have learned proper habits of industry and thrift and enfranchised, and they become enfranchised, they could be released from reservations to participate as a citizen of Canada. So that's basically, you know, what is said when they were creating the Indian Act. So that was basically what was on paper. And the reality was that reservation was a way to contain and confine the Indian on a piece of land to make access to the rich resources of the land, such as fishing, forestry, water, agriculture, the resources that originally sustained the indigenous culture and the people who lived on that land. And so basically they were trying to lure Europeans to come into the land and to start farming. They were giving away, you could see in some of these old posters, you know, free farms, 160 acres, you know, come to Canada and we'll take care of you kind of thing. And during the agricultural area, the Europeans needed the richest and the most fertile lands available, and they needed the Indian out of the way. So John A. Macdonald who was the prime minister at the time, needed to lure the Europeans to move and settle in Canada. And also his other objective was to connect the railway from the west coast to Ottawa. And here's an excerpt of what he said, you know, "Sir, we are looking anxiously for your report as to Indian titles, both within Manitoba and without, and as to the best means of extinguishing, terminating the Indian titles in the Valley of Saskatchewan. Would you kindly give us your views on that point officially and unofficially? And we would take immediate steps to extinguish the Indian somewhere in the fertile belt in the Valley of Saskatchewan and open it up for settlement. There will be otherwise be an influx of squatters who will seize upon the most eligible positions and greatly disturb the symmetry organization of future surveys." 1870, a letter from John A. Macdonald. So reservations were usually just a portion of indigenous people's traditional lands, and they were far away or they were far away from their traditional lands. There wasn't a consistent formula. Hold on. So there wasn't a consistent formula where, you know, reservation should be. And I'm online, please. Sorry, guys. There's two. They use 160 acres for every family of 5. For Treaty 3 to 11, they use 640 acres for every family of 5. So kind of not really a consistent way to do it. In British Columbia, there was an average of 20 acres granted per family. So in general, indigenous people were forced into European-style homes that did not support the traditional concept of family. The traditional dwellings were contingent on climate, food gatherings, and hunting gatherings. So that's usually how we got our dwellings, was we'd look through the climate, you know, where the best foods were, and some good hunting traditions. And usually, you know, the way we lived was we gathered together with our close family within our area, our lodges, and there would be spaces for gathering, eating, and spiritual practicing spirituality. But instead, you know, when we went to reservations, we were moved into single family homes, and homes that we did not own, and they're owned by the government. And that's something that I think needs to be out there, that the homes on reservations are not owned by the people who live in there, but from the government. And what happened was, when the structure of this, it was totally opposite from our way of living. It separated communities and families, and some communities were removed altogether from their traditional lands altogether. And all they knew of their lives were gone, and left the people with a future of poverty, malnourishment, vulnerability to disease, and controlled by the crown. So that's basically number 3 of this book, was kind of the creation of reservations to make room for, railway, to make room for agriculture. And it disrupted kind of the whole concept of our way of living, and our connection with the lands, where we had our traditional hunting areas, our spiritual areas, to make room for European farmers to come in. So, by the way, if you want to learn more and you want to be updated with weekly knowledge, you can visit our website as foundationalknowledge.com. We'll be sending you weekly kind of little teachings like this, and it'll help build your foundational knowledge. So hopefully you got some great value from here today. And if you did, hit like, hit a share, and we'll see you again.